if you open your books to page 418, you're going to see that with our graphing calculator, we can get some of these images. The last problem that we did on number 21 on your graphing calculator, we're going to start with. And so when I go to polar mode, you're going to see that in the mode screen, I'm going to want it radian and polar. And that's where you have to start off so we're on the same language. The calculator knows what it's calculating. When you go to y equals, you're going to see that it's r equals something in terms of theta, which is kind of what I want to do with that last problem. So 4 cosine of 3x, and look what happens when you hit that x. It automatically knows to put in theta because it's in polar mode. So once you do that, you have to remember that the windows is where these graphs are made, and you have to know the components of the windows. If you go to the windows, notice what you see here. You have theta min and theta max. Theta min is where you're starting with your smallest angle, and the max is the largest. Notice you're going from 0 to 2 pi. That's what you want, because you want to go all the way around. Secondly, we have x min and x max. This is where it's important to know how far out your r is going to go. That's why you want to think about the graph and figure out how far, what's your maximum r. On the graph that we have back here, the r is going to be maximized. This is always going to be 1 to negative 1, the cosine 3 theta, so it's going to be maximized at 4. So when I go back to the window, I know that that minimum is going to be, let's say, negative 5, and the maximum is going to be 5, and the same thing for the y's, negative 5 and positive 5, and your scale is going to go in between. So you know that the window screen is going to fit all of those points with that distance. And so when you graph this, you're going to see, hopefully, the same graph that we just made. Now, it does that pretty quickly, and one thing that you may also notice is if you go to the table, when you go to the table, notice what I have it in ask mode, which means I can put in this 2 pi divided by 9. That was that weird number that I got on the graph of that problem to make it a whole number to graph it. And so if I put in 2 pi divided by 9 and I hit enter, notice you're going to get negative 2, which was what I got in that table. It was a nice even number to graph. Also, notice if I did a negative 2 pi divided by 9, that was the opposite of the first one. Notice I get the same one. That's that even function that I was talking about. The cosine of a positive angle is the same thing as a cosine of the negative angle. They're giving you the same exact answer. So you can go to a table to get some of your points there. So when I go back to the graph, you're going to see that this went in order. It followed it down and over and through, and that's why these graphs are confusing. These points can go anywhere because of that negative aspect. You can graph something else, like, for example, if you want to have a limicon, which would be something like 2 plus 3 cosine x, or theta. I'm just on page 420 here, where this is less than that, 2 is less than 3. If I graph that, you get a nice figure doing that as well. So you can see how you get objects in the book with your graphing calculator. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you, and I did a link to the Google Classroom, and that is that you're going to have this, which is a polar graph link on there. And if you click on that, look what happens. You can go through and hit polar functions. And if you hit this, you can see that it can load different things very quickly on this function of your computer, and you can change things, and you can even have this A go, which can be a little bit fun to watch, but you can change things on here pretty easily and see how they change in terms of, well, I can certainly not, let's see if I can do that. Okay, and if I did 3 theta, you're going to see that object changes. If I did 32, maybe that'll bring out the sun in these winter days. So we're going to be, your job on the polar graphing project is to play around with this, get an object other than a flower or a butterfly, decorate it, build it up, and write a haiku about it. And then I'm going to be grading them out of 20 points. And make sure you're following the directions. That is due on Friday. A lot of students have fun with that. Now, also on Friday, you have the quiz. So there are 2 things going on this Friday. Hope you have fun with it. And tomorrow is going to be a work day, so you can get stuff figured out tomorrow as well.